Hey guys, this is Andy with Yer Wellies. Welcome back to the garden and very Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Today is Christmas morning. It's quiet at my house, so I'm taking the opportunity to make a little video for us. But first of all, as always, why don't you get your wellies, meet me in the garden. Now, as many of you know, I in the wintertime get a little bit frustrated. I don't do a lot of winter gardening outside. This place doesn't lend itself really well to that because most of my things are in raised beds and pots, and just growing outdoors is pretty challenging. Here in central Arkansas, the weather will get pretty cold, so you can lose a lot of things unless you want to cover rows up. And keep some warmth in the beds that way. However, I don't really have time right now to do all that. I'll always look forward to the summer gardening. So in winter, I actually really enjoy doing a little bit of indoor gardening. It's not a massive production, of course. These gardens that I use, like this one, are small, but to keep the interesting gardening going and just the enjoyment of growing things, these products are just awesome. So first of all, I just want to give a disclaimer. I have not been given any products from Miracle-Gro. This is a Miracle-Gro product. I own a couple of different ones of these. This one's a 3-pod system. This is called the Sprout. And this is an older model. Basically, it's a container for water. The lid of this has 3 holes in it for pods. These are the pods, and in each pod you can put a peat stick or sponge in there, and that's what the seeds grow in. So the disclaimer is I've just bought these. I've not been given any promotional fee or no products or anything. I bought these, and this is totally my own review, so I'm going to be very honest about it. These products are called AeroGardens. Now, that is to me just slightly misleading, because aeroponics is where you have the roots kind of hanging in air and you would mist the roots periodically, usually automatically on pump, but the nutrients are sprayed directly in water that's loaded with plant nutrients directly onto the roots. This is really more of a hydroponic, which people are more familiar with that term, I believe. Hydroponic is where the roots are immersed in water, and usually the top, inch or 2 of roots is open to the air. So there would be some aeroponics going on, because as this works, there's some misting, but it's sort of an incidental thing. It's not a purposeful thing on the part of the product. There needs to be some roots exposed to the air for oxygen to be absorbed into the plant that way. So pretty simple. This is just a tank. We're going to fill it with nutrient solution. The Miracle-Gro makes one that's really easy to use. You just make a combination of the nutrient concentrate and you put it in the water, and it's got see how close I can get with this camera because it's a little bit difficult to show this, but it's got a fill to here mark, and then it's got an add water. So this requires just like looking at it every few days. Now when the plants are really small and you're waiting for seeds to come out, this level is not going to change very quickly at all. It's not going to drop from here to here in a day and a half or anything like that. Now, when the plants get big, there's a lot more evaporation going on from the leaves. So in fact, this can drop pretty significantly depending on what plants you have, how warm your house is, those kind of variables. But you would have to, excuse me, in its base form, you would need to check on this at least every couple of days, and I would suggest every day. I end up putting mine right behind my chair at the table over here, and I actually just kind of look at it every day while I'm eating breakfast when I have it running. So That's the water tank. Inside of here, there's a little pump and there's a diffuser. So what's coming up out of here is bubbles, much like what you would see in an aquarium. So it's not really feeding oxygen per se to the plants, but the agitation of the water allows for there to be oxygen exchange at the surface of the water, and this just kind of flows through this tank this way. There's a separator here. Let's see, this is a little tricky to show you with this. There's a separator right here so that the roots hopefully won't grow from inside the basin toward the pump. They do sometimes though. Okay, the rest of it, this is the base. The pump will blow bubbles up through here. That has a little washer on it to keep that from leaking. This is the light. Now, this is kind of cool. It's got a bunch of LEDs underneath. This is not what I would call a full spectrum light, although you can grow micro tomatoes and things like that. And they'll get enough light from this to flower and produce fruit. In my opinion, when we talk about what are these good for growing, you really want, first of all, fairly small plants, or if you do lettuces, you know, that you can let them grow all the way. This thing will raise way up. Let's see. Let's have a look at that. This raises pretty high. So this is from the surface here. It's about 12 inches or a little bit more to the top of that. So you've got some height to it. But it's pretty basic. It's just, you know, basically a tub of water and a pump and some lights. Made to look quite elegant. This is an older one. If any of you got these for Christmas, lucky people, then you will find that your design is probably a little more modern looking, but they all work the same way, at least at this level. Now, some of the more advanced ones do have different types of systems in them for distributing water over the roots and that kind of thing. So, but this one, pretty basic. This usually runs, I want to say I paid around $50. That was probably not on sale at the time. But you can get deals on them. Miracle Grow does have a sale going through the 27th, but don't worry if you miss that, because Miracle Grow has sales. Once you sign up for that, you'll get emails out the wazoo for information about the sales they've got, and some of them are really good. You just got to kind of watch it for a while and see what you're willing to pay. So these pods, these are actually aftermarket pods. I don't really care that much about whether they're brand name or not, because they all work just fine. These sort of just slide in. They just are slightly tight, but not much. And then a lot of people will saturate these peat pods ahead of time. I don't. They're going to absorb water quick enough, and you just drop those in. So it's about an inch below the top here, at the most an inch, 3/4 to an inch, and you're just going to drop your seeds in here. So let's talk about what can you grow and what can you not grow in one of these AeroGardens. What can you grow? Well, the best things to me are smaller plants that grow fast, or things that you can pluck leaves off and use them every few days. So basil is a good one. Now it grows like crazy in the AeroGarden, but as long as you're pruning it up every day or two, you can keep basil going almost indefinitely in this thing, because you're not going to let it flower. Now, to me, lettuce is really the best thing to grow in here. Lettuce, you're going to have leaves you can eat well within 30 days. You could probably grow a head of lettuce in 40 days, or even a bit less, if you wanted to just grow one and then take the whole lettuce. It really makes more sense. This can be in your kitchen, where you can just grow it and do the come and cut again method, where you're just going to cut leaves from around the bottom and let it just keep on producing leaves from the middle, which it'll do for quite a while. So lettuce is my favorite. There are also a couple of different varieties of tomatoes. Microtoms, they only grow about this big, 4 to 6 inches. I don't know that you even really ever have to lift the light up. And then orange hats grow to about 10 inches, so you would have to raise the light when they get up close. Starting off, you want to keep the light pretty close to the seeds so they have some light as soon as they emerge from their cotyledon. They'll be able to get energy from the lights as well as what's already in the seed. So what can you not grow? Well, anything that's really big, do not put indeterminate tomatoes in here because they'll sprawl and they won't have enough light because they'll be away from this, and that just becomes a big mess. Unless you've got some kind of additional lighting, maybe then, but I wouldn't. I'd buy microtoms or orange hat tomatoes to do in here. Root vegetables, not really great in here either because you're obviously looking to grow the root. The seeds are in here. That root's got to sort of start working out of here. This is too small to grow carrots in, plus they'll be in water. So root vegetables are a no-no to me. Now you could start them in here and then move them outside, and they would probably grow out through here just fine. But I would not think you could use them for that. But that's really about it. It's really to do with size mostly, and the shorter the life of the plant, almost the better. You almost want to have stuff you can grow over 4 to 6 weeks, or maybe 8 to 10 weeks in the case of tomatoes, and then be done with the microtoms. Lettuce you can change out pretty frequently. You could change that every month and have new ones growing. The other thing that is very important, now if you've just got one of these or you're thinking about perhaps starting with one, I would probably do lettuce, just because that way you can sort of see how it works. If you do a tomato and you only have one of these with 3 in it, this is what you would want to do. You'd either want to not do this one, just grow 2, or maybe I would probably, in the case of this 3 container, I would just take those out and I would just grow 1. Just because I know how big that root system's going to get, it just makes more sense to me to just do 1 in here. Now, if it's a 6-pod AeroGarden, you could do 2 or maybe 3. But for me, I've learned the temptation is to overcrowd these things because it can do a lot, but you will learn the limitations if you do that. So that's my recommendation. But you know what? It's your garden, so you get to do whatever you want with it, which is pretty cool. So before we take a look at the light, we're going to put water in here because I'm getting ready to plant some things in here too. So before you plug it in, you're going to want to fill up your water because this pump is going to start running as soon as you plug it in. So I'm going to fill that to the line just like that. So now we're right here. Water level's right there, and then I'm going to put the top back on and I'm going to plug this in. You'll be able to see everything a little better now. Let's just flip that on. So now I think you can hear and sort of see the bubbles coming up here in the tank. So what's happening, it's drawing that fluid from the bottom and it's basically slowly circulating around the tank. The lights are on. I can't really flip it now to show you, but these LED lights are on. Let me zoom back just a little so you get a little bit better idea what's going on here. Here's the lights. There you go. You can sort of see them on that. And I'm gonna set these pods up here. Well, let's see what we got we can use for, we can actually put the light back down a bit. So it's easier to put the seeds in before you start. Once you got these in there, it's hard to kind of, you know, drop them in like that. So I usually do this ahead of time. So let's have a look at what we got that we could do today. This was a free seed from, I don't even know what year, let's see. Oh yeah, it's an older one. Looks like 2020. Woo. That's a little old. This is cute. This is the Tom Thumb. And you'll find if you do a lot of purchasing from Baker Creek, they send you, I think you have to spend like $30 now or something. Maybe it's not quite that much. But they'll send you a free seed. And lettuce is one of their favorites. So these are like little personal lettuces. They're really cute to grow, but they're small. So I'm going to hold off on doing that one. I do like the red lettuces, so we'll do some of the Merlot, and it actually, in this picture, it just looks kind of red. It is actually pretty dark. I mean, when I grew this outside, it's almost black looking leaves. It's really kind of cool. So if you're doing 2 or 3 lettuces in one of these AeroGardens, mix it up because it really looks pretty while you're growing stuff too. And then we'll do that one. And I think we'll do some of this Rouge de Hiver, which is another, you know, actually, I may just do 2 of the Landis. Yeah, let's just do 1 red. Because the red, to me, doesn't actually taste as good most of the time. It's great for decorative use. And this one's okay, but I do think I like the green lettuces a little bit better. So, okay, let's do that. So, I'm going to turn the camera a little bit this way. Let's see what year this was. I think this was 20 as well. Honestly, just try it, because if they don't, these are going to come up pretty quick. If you don't see anything in 4 or 5 days, just put some newer ones in. But I try and use my old seeds if I can. So this one, I'm just going to drop, maybe 3. Let's see. Yeah, that's about right. So we'll do that one since it's the Merlot in the middle. Let's pop that one in there. And it'll gradually absorb from that sponge or from the water into the sponge, and it'll sink down just a little bit. And if you get more than 1 plant coming up, you can trim off a few of them. That's what I do, to just leave 1 healthy plant in each pod. That's what I would do. A couple more. Oops, that one doesn't want to. Okay. Good enough. Yeah, lettuce, I don't know, lettuce seeds probably don't last as long as things like peppers and tomatoes, but they're okay. So this one the same thing here. I may be missing some stuff on the camera, I apologize for that. I keep all my seeds in a dark, cool place. So I generally get pretty good results on that. But again, I mean, worst case scenario, I've got some that are newer, so I can always go get some other ones if I need to. So that's it. That is literally it to starting the AeroGarden. Now, the light, well, it's actually not quite it. The light will go on and off. On this one, I believe it's every 15 hours. Some of them you can adjust. Some of them have like you can program in tomatoes or seed starting or greens, and it automatically like puts the right program in for that. This one's basic, so it's just 15 hours. Now this little light on the front, let me tell you about that. So this light on the front down here, let's try and zoom in again. Everything's a bit dark on the camera, I'm sorry about that. Let's just zoom in there so you can see what I'm talking about. That little light down there. Yeah, there you go. So this light here, it says on top of that light, add plant food. So what this basically is a timer, and it's a 2-week timer. Pretty sure it's 2 weeks. Most of them are 2. Some of them might be 10 days, but I'm pretty confident this is every 2 weeks. So it's going to ask you, well, the light's going to come on, and then what that means is it's asking you to put more plant feed in here. So you got a choice on the front end. These seeds have, when they first sprout, they're going to have cotyledon leaves like every other seed. And there's actually a lot of nutrition in the seed and in those cotyledon leaves. So some people do put additives in at the beginning, and some people don't. With tomatoes, I generally don't. And the reason is it can take 5 to 14 days for them to even sprout. So there's no need to feed them before that. Now the lettuces, hopefully these will all be up and going within just a few days, 4 or 5 days maybe. And so I am more inclined to put feed in with this. So I'm gonna, this, and it's really easy how it works. If you buy the Miracle Grow food, super easy. So you're gonna add your feed in directly into the these holes right here. You can kind of see the water bubbling up in there. So, and it'll tell you how many drops for how many pods. So if you're using 3 pods, then you're just going to put the right amount of drops in for that. So let me get the feed and I'll show you that. So AeroGarden sells, if you buy a kit, you'll get a small bottle of feed, enough to do at least your first couple of rounds of seeds in there. But they also sell this much bigger container. This is a 1-liter container, so obviously if you're going to do this a lot, it really makes sense to buy a bigger one. And this isn't even halfway empty, and I know I've had this at least a couple of years, so be sure and shake it up, because a lot of the nutrients will go to the bottom. So shake it up good, and then you're going to add it according to the instructions on there. So let me see if I can, I don't know if I can get close enough to, maybe I can, let's see. Maybe you can see it, I'll read it out there. So 2 to 3 pods is 4 mils at startup, and then every 2 weeks. So this is calling for 4 mils. Now to measure that, you can get one of these little like dropper syringes. You can get those from probably you can get them from the grocery store, honestly, but you can get them at a pharmacy if nowhere else. The bigger stations that have, some of these have 12 pods in them, so you're going to be putting a lot more in. If you're just going to own one of these little systems, like the Sprout, then like this one, you're not going to go through feed just terribly quickly. So to feed it, you're just going to put 4 mils right in here, so I'll show you that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I recommend cleaning your syringe out pretty quickly because that stuff is a little sticky if you just leave it in there. Probably don't want to do that. And I usually just rinse that just a little bit. Of course, if you are needing to put more water in it as well, then you can mix your plant food up in the new water and put it in that way. You can do that too. So now that we have our feed in there, that water's circulating through the pump, it's circulating around in there, so it will get to where all the pods can get to that. These pods are still dry up here, but as you can see, they're slowly absorbing. These actually are quite good. I'll do a review on some of these, but I would stick to Miracle Grow when you first start, just because these are a little bit different. But when you go to replace parts, get whatever's cheapest, because you don't want to pay for brand names if you really don't need to, and this is not a critical thing. So now we have our light that says add plant food, which of course we've just done. And the way that you get rid of that light on this model, you just hold the light switch down and it flashes, and then it goes off. Now you can manually turn the light on and off. If you decide, let's say you want your light to be on all through the day, when you're up early in the morning, you can reset that by holding the light down, and it'll flash like that, and it starts the cycle over. So, but you'll be able to tell, basically you just want it to run 15 hours. Some people prefer theirs to do it at night. If this is in a place close to where you sleep, you will not want to do that, because this light really is pretty bright across the room. So anyway, guys, that's about it. So now we have our lettuce sitting here, and we are set up for having some lettuce here in a few weeks. I'm going to visit this garden and probably start another one, maybe before I do the next video. But I have another piece of equipment I wanted to show you that kind of goes along with this, that some people may like. But if you have one of these and you have any really great tips, please go ahead and put those in the comments. If you are thinking about one, I hope this video has maybe helped you decide if this is something you would like to do. The fact that even though it's small, the fact that it's a hydroponic unit, that the lights are all inclusive, it's just a neat little unit. It's a great way to start growing plants inside. It's also a really fun project for kids. My grandkids will ask about all kinds of questions. Once they see plants in here, they ask a whole lot of questions about plants, and so you can spike the kids' interest in this. I mean, I'm really, I really want kids to want to learn about gardening, because I think that those kind of skills have been sort of lost in the last generation or two, and I would love to be a part of bringing those things back. So anything you can do to get your kids or grandkids interested in gardening and growing things and growing your own food, man, just just do it. When you get a chance, just do it. So I thank you all very much for watching the video. I hope that you learned something, and I'll see you next time on Get Your Wellies. So until then, bye now.